Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. So, as we were, on the program yesterday, little did most of us know who didn't happen to be living in Niger State that big news had happened there. So the report goes around 3 a.m. yesterday. Was when a government secondary school, in fact, government science college, Kagara, was hit by bandits, and there was large-scale kidnapping. And so that's what we're going to be looking at today. The security situation is what we've been looking at for quite a bit anyway. And as you know, the governor over there, Governor Abductees Bello, naturally he's as concerned as anyone would be, but he does have a reputation. He's quite outspoken, or shall I say, outspoken, not what I meant, emphatic on the fact that ransoms will not be paid. And rightly so, So here we are, some pictures, when the governor visited the place. Ransom will not be paid, but he is assuring that all the abducted people, of course, it has to be, unfortunately, minus the one that was killed. One individual was killed, I understand, from reports that he tried to escape, and they shot him in cold blood. But the governor has been, expressing the optimistic hope, quite frankly, that the children will be returned. The president has also charged that, all efforts, have to be, all hands have to be on deck to make sure that we do get those children back. Now, to help us look at this, look at this situation where these bandits that we've been talking about, we're almost sounding like a broken record, appear to be getting more and more daring. We have a security consultant, Colonel Yomi Dare, retired. I don't know if the Colonel can hear me. Good morning, sir. Okay, I understand that he's not ready yet. So what we're going to do is that we'll open the phones in the meantime and look at this sort of debacle, if you want, that we have on our hands. Of course, it's understandable that Governor Bello is saying that he's not going to be dealing in ransoms and that kind of a thing. Governor El Rufai in Kaduna State, actually tried it. It doesn't look like it has sorted the problem out. I think the governor of Bauchi has also expressed that twice now he's been betrayed. That is the confidence that he gave to these individuals, sort of doing anything that he could, as it were, to bring succor. He has lamented since that twice he has been betrayed by people he sort of, trusted in. As much as you can trust in those kind of people. But you know what? He was apparently between a rock and a hard place, and look what happened to him. So here we are, and of course, Governor Bello and a lot of other people have said that. And we know, as a matter of fact, that kidnapping is one heck of a revenue source for these people. And the idea is that you pay these kidnaps, they're simply going to buy more ammunition, they're going to buy more weapons with that money, and we actually are not better off. K. Sandu has called in. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in.
You see, Uncle Yori, this adoption is becoming an embarrassment to all of us in Nigeria, especially to Mr. President. And we cannot take it anymore from anybody. The question is, like here in the East, I come from Imo State, where here in the East, you see roadblocks by police, at some point military men. Why can't you have roadblocks in some of these places in the North? How can these people by 2 a.m., 3 a.m., pack these students and their staff? How did they go? And nobody made a call. Where did they take them to? Are they not still in Niger State or outside Niger? So how did they move around? I think Mr. President should stand up and give a marching order, even the governors. Let us, if you don't have any security, inbuilt some security like local vigilantes that can actually block roads, let us be having roadblocks, because these people, when they adopt, look at what we had the other time, Chibok and every other person, they will just walk out, take the students, walk majestically on our roads and go home freely, unchallenged. It's becoming an insult to the nation. And look at the way these people are seeing us, the people of the outside world.
Yeah.
I think Mr. President should stand up and say something.
Very much for calling in. Really appreciate your call. Because a lot of people, just like Kesandu, are indeed exasperated. We've said it before, sounding like a broken record. These people, bandits that they are, seem to be running rings around us. We've spoken also about the matter of what exactly are the orders that our security people are working with, because people have the notion that our men in uniform are able to execute orders, all other things being equal. But these have just been talking points. Consistently through it all, the president's spokesmen have been saying that the president is, quite frankly, on top of everything. He's been fully briefed, and that they're doing all that they can at the moment. Indeed, even in this case, 42 killed. The timestamp you saw there was 2 a.m. I had said 3 a.m. Yeah, it's around that time. What we're talking about is the wee hours of the morning. So how about the security? How about the intelligence that we keep on talking about this? How come our people don't know anything? When I say our people, I'm talking about all the right agencies. And even when they do know, that is after the event, it does seem to be a challenge tracking them down. There's also the whole conversation about bandits, these bandits that we're referring to. People are even saying bandits so-called, because they've said there's very, very little difference in their minds. I don't know what academic...
Good morning, Uncle Yori. If one can say good morning.
Yes, I understand.
When situations get to this level, you begin to wonder what to really do, Uncle Yori. We are just talking. Every day we are talking, complaining, people are complaining, but I'm not seeing adequate action on the part of the government and the security agencies. People were crying, let the service chiefs change. The president has changed them. One would have expected that they would swing into action and tackle these things. I saw them gathering at Maduguri the other day, as if the insecurity is only in the northeast. As it is now, it's not only in the northeast. Boko Haram is not even the major insecurity now. They have spread across the country. People cannot travel from one state to the other. So what is going on? Is it that the president is not aware, or the service chiefs themselves? I don't just know.
Yeah.
Only yesterday I was reading in the papers that the Minister of Defense is telling people to defend themselves. He's telling us that
people
he's
shouldn't
not capable of doing his job.
People shouldn't be cowardly.
So what does he mean by being cowardly? You are traveling along the road, and then bandits come out from the bush, waylay you with AK-47. What will you use to tackle them back?
Exactly.
Are we allowed to carry arms? So what does he mean? If he has failed as a Minister of Defense, he should not pass the buck to the people.
All right, then.
He should resign. That's my view.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. It's interesting you remind us there about the Minister of Defense's remark. In one sense, perhaps one could understand it, that sometimes situations paralyze us. That is to say, fear from certain situations paralyze us, and one should not be, as he put it, cowardly. But it leads on to a throwaway comment that Mr. George made. Are we allowed to bear arms? I don't know, maybe that conversation needs part. As Mr. George was saying in that exasperation, one almost doesn't know what to do. But I'm sure this sense of frustration doesn't, fix. It's not the same, no doubt, with the military and the security people.
Kabiyesi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Here we are again.
You know that only one person is called Kabiyesi in our society. You know it, Mr. Ade.
Kabiyesi of Soro.
Please continue.
Kabiyesi of presenter, king of presenter. So we crown you from diaspora.
Okay then. So go ahead, please.
Now, regarding what is happening in Nigeria, apart from Borno State Governor, that is excellence. Tell me, Any good, look at that building, the school building itself, dilapidated. And they are pumping money to these people, to this governor. They are collecting their security votes. And look at the way the students are living. Even rats cannot live in that place. So it's porous for anybody to come there. And all this, if you remember the last one they did, according to a report of what we had, Insider was part of it. So it's like a business. What is going on now? But it's an embarrassment to the government. Here, as Nigeria is reporting, about 800 were kidnapped. So different network was telling us different things that are not Nigerians. So this thing doesn't bring good image to this country.
Spokesperson. Yeah. Thank you very much for calling in.
If you have come and condemned that Minister of Defense, he didn't. He's only focused on the Southwest. When anybody governor cough, he will talk.
Well, to be fair, Mr. Ade, thank you very much for calling in. I appreciate your call. That is to say, apart from some things that were directly your opinion, you had opined that the president wasn't worried. We hear from his spokesman that, on the contrary, people just say those kind of things, that if only they knew inside here. But I suppose the larger point that Mr. Ade was also bringing out is that, okay, even grant that, why are we still as helpless almost as we appear to be as a nation, to the extent that these people can strike almost at will? And that's the worrying part. Embarrassing is one word that has been used. Mr. George earlier had said that he'd implied that the whole thing is very exasperating, in the sense that you almost don't know what to do with all the promise, as I said. The part that is embarrassing is that they seem to be thumbing their nose up at us, seem to be thumbing their nose at us, that what we can do what we want. And that's not the security kind of situation that everyone can actually be productive in. Perhaps you'll agree. Mazi Okoroafo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sayori. You see, Sayori, the issue what we'll be talking about now, this hour around, is how to find a lasting solution to stop all these terrorists attacking our schools. You see, there is need for school authority to make use of the youth. That is to say, the youth in any community where you have schools should take charge of securing their schools, the environment for that very school. It will help us. Whereby the elite, at least, if the elite can assist, all these youth, the schools will employ, and they'll be giving something like stipends. This youth now will not taking care of school, at least have a shift for morning duty, afternoon and night duty to secure the schools. Now, Mr. Yori, we take very well. All these people who go to do this terrorist attack, whether we call it whether armed robbery or bandits or anything, they are all terrorists. They go on drugs. A normal sense human being cannot do all these things. They take drugs. After taking drugs, you see them going haywire. Perpetrating all these atrocities. Now you ask yourself, the authority concerned in terms of drugs will find how to do what? Eradicate all these free-will drugs everywhere in Nigeria. Whether anywhere you go, you see drugs. So rampant, even local one, international one, whether we name them. But the thing is this, we have to be very careful, because what is happening now will now reduce people going to school. Are you going to the farm? You go to the farm, terrorists are there.
Okay.
What do we do? Because illiteracy is very high in Nigeria, 70% illiterate, and they are now trying to close down schools. Closing down schools by governors is not the ideal situation.
Okay, Mazi, I got to interrupt you now. Thank you very much for calling in. And yes, referring to one of the actions that the governor has taken over in Niger State, he has shut down 4 secondary schools in the whole sort of security confusion, which, if not lapse, that we find ourselves in the middle of. I think it was Mr. George who called in earlier, who was talking about who knows exactly where Boko Haram, has infiltrated up to now. This one that they seem to be, moving and operating at will. We've since been joined by our friend, Mr. Dennis Amakre, MON. Thank you very much, Dennis, for joining us again this morning. I'm not too sure that you are happy that you are joining us this frequently on the subject matter concerned. Yeah. We've been hit again.
Well, yeah, we are always at it. Good morning.
Good morning. So, I was saying in my frustration that we're beginning to sound like a broken record, because what we said a week ago, something happens, and all those things we said a week ago apply. And so, as one, viewer, has called in, you might have started listening at that time, Mr. George. You could hear the frustration. We almost don't know what to do anymore. Look at all the hope, Dennis. Look at all the hope that the service chiefs have now been changed. I'm not blaming this on them, but you see, well, these people seem to be able to move at will and dampen our spirit. It looks like they have psychologists in there too, those people.
Well, you know that it is a Boko Haram objective, their plan to stop people from going to school. You know, Boko Haram, which practically means Western education is wrong.
Yes.
And I think they are succeeding to an extent whereby they attack these schools, and then, of course, the governors quickly went ahead and closed down boarding school, and then from there, some schools will be closed for quite a while. You know, so at the end of the day, what is it? The terrorists are succeeding because what their objective are, gaining ground. And then, of course, we are giving them publicity with all the things they are doing. So, stopping Western education, which is their objective, is being achieved. And that's why we have to counter it with everything we have. With everything we have. In fact, somebody was mentioning it this morning that it is a situation where we are not responding fast enough.
Okay.
We have security chiefs going down there, and then within 48 hours, the 48 hours is very critical, very, very critical in every kidnap situation.
Yeah.
Now think of it. A friend of mine was analyzing it this morning, and if there are school children that are taken, think of how far a school child will move, even if he's running. How far will he go to cover about 5 kilometers? So within that 48 hours, you should be able to know exactly where they are.
Yeah.
And then, of course, with search and rescue helicopters from the police, they should be able to go and, of course, locate them and then extricate them. So we allow them to go. After days and days and days, we have, officials or governors coming to say, we are going to be on it. And by that time, they've already taken them far away.
Now,
we have to tighten up our response.
Indeed. Dennis, we got to tighten up our response. Maybe later on I'll come to the matter about how about the intelligence part of all of this. Is it that our intelligence people are lacking good sources, are lacking excellent sources? Because that's what intelligence is all about. Or are they known so nobody says anything around them so that they can pull off this surprise attack? I suppose that's one aspect to it. How important do you think the intelligence aspect of this is?
The intelligence is working. You can see it. You can see it because you heard it. The SSS came out some weeks ago and was telling everybody that, look, people are going to use religion.
Okay, if the intelligence was working, I will soon get Dennis back. If the intelligence was working, and I think Dennis was just about to illustrate that, intelligence had actually made available information, maybe about a week ago or so, or at least some time in the past. The question I would have asked Dennis, and we'll ask him as soon as we get him. As soon as we get him back, is okay, how about working with that intelligence? Because if they've been telling people, and what the intelligence provided has indeed resulted in the situation that we have on our hands, it goes back again to what we've also always been discussing as the cooperation between the intergovernmental cooperation between all these agencies responsible at the end of the day for our security. Good morning, Isaac. Thank you for calling in, Isaac. Isaac?
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for calling in. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, I want to contribute to your program.
Sure.
Yeah, I discovered that, you see, this is a very difficult situation right now for Nigerians, whether we like it or not. And we quickly jump into conclusion when it comes to issue of security, blaming one another. The minister said something yesterday, every Nigerian blasting him now, as if it doesn't make any sense to some extent for what he is talking about. If you look at the situation on ground, our military are overwhelmed. You ask yourself, where are the military personnel we are going to be distributed to all over the schools in Nigeria? Mm-hmm. It's not possible. Mm-hmm. To some extent, people just have to wake up to do what they need to do best. That is the way it should go.
That is to say,
stop all this,
we are responsible for our own security.
Exactly. We need to assist in some ways. We need to assist. Because right now, whether you like it or not, the military are overwhelmed. The security apparatus of Nigeria are completely overwhelmed.
Yeah.
No government is happy. It's not as if the government is happy. It's not as if the minister that spoke yesterday, president is happy or what is happening. But the man is just totally confused, just like you and I. And again, for us to actually deal with the problem in our heart right now, then you ask yourself, if the security had to go all war, when I mean all war, these people headlock.
All out war.
Then Nigerians, all out war. Then Nigerians are still going to cooperate. What about the people in their captivity? Yeah. But this is the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not as if the military, they will not be able to do all this. But this is the main challenge they have. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Isaac. And Dennis, I see we got you back. Did we lose Dennis again? We got him back, so I was going to... Okay, you're back now. As you were speaking, and when we lost the connection, you were explaining that, on the contrary to what I was positing, that there was intelligence, and that intelligence had provided information some time before the incident. So I was going to, even though you didn't get to land, but I sort of knew where you were going, I was going to then ask you that, okay, if such is the case, why wasn't this put to use such that, as has just been said by Isaac, we don't have enough people to spread all over the country, all over the secondary schools. But this intelligence that tells us this area you can, with profit, concentrate on it for the moment. In other words, be strategic. I don't know, Dennis.
One thing about intelligence is this. It has to be timely. And it has to be actionable. Those are two major ingredients of intelligence. If we know that the information was timely, which the DSS gave to the whole country and, of course, the other security agencies, it was timely, but was it actionable? Was action taken immediately? Like I'm saying now, for instance, we know where the bandits are camping out in Zamfara State right now. Everybody knows that. That is an information. And I'm sure the intelligence agencies must have even located the coordinates of that particular place. Are we doing anything about it?
So why wasn't it action?
Until something happens.
Okay, Dennis, I'm going to come back to you because in the meantime, Mr. Joshua has called in from Irewolide. Good morning, sir. We were just hearing there that intelligence has to be actionable and timely and actionable.
And, good morning to your guests.
Thank you. Good morning.
Uncle Yori, I attended a male secondary school in a part of the northern Nigeria. And the last time it happened, when the president was in his home state, I said, how did they move that number of boys? These people are taking their own share through this. And there are internal people who are collaborating with these so-called terrorists and all that. It is a business, Uncle Yori. It is a business. It is a business.
Well, thank you for calling in, because I think that's a very fine place to leave, your contribution this morning. Thank you very much, Mr. Joshua. Dennis, you've just heard, quite frankly, it's not new. It's been said that there are too many people profiting all over the place from the present state of anarchy, almost, that we have in the society. And I don't think very many people are going to be naysayers to that notion.
Yeah, I agree with the person that actually, war economy, is a very, very booming economy. And a lot of people are making money out of it. You know, I know very well, especially like in the Niger Delta, when the Niger Delta insurgency was going on, a lot of, even after the amnesty, you find out that there are many people that don't want this thing to end, you know, because they were making money out of the situation. So yes, I agree with him that it's possible. But you see, a very serious government will go after all those people and make sure that, you know, the thing does not continue.
And that is where people, you know, begin to have the opinion that perhaps government doesn't care. You just said a serious government will indeed go after all those people. And I think that must be the backdrop to the idea some people are expressing that, does this government care at all? They even went as far, as you have heard of, saying that they don't know the extent to which President Buhari actually is involved and invested in our security. And I've said it.
Yori, there's an aspect I want to talk to you about. If
Please.
you give me a minute.
Sure. Go ahead, please.
Let me tell you, many people will always be talking about President Buhari. You know, I'm not a spokesman, but one aspect that bothers me a lot is that the governors, what are they doing? What are the local government chairmen doing? You know, that's the level. In fact, that's where it is happening. And these guys are not doing anything about it. You know, so if we continue to be looking at the federal government, I think it's misplaced, because this particular war is for everybody. I don't know why those ones are folding their arms and sitting down there, making the money, spending security votes anyhow they like, without doing anything about the security situation.
I hear you. Okay, Dennis. Mr. Yakub, good morning, sir. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jibiori. Good morning once again. Jibiori, I totally agree with one of the callers says that it's a business. I think Mr. Joshua from New was there also.
Yes.
And then I also agree with your guest this morning. Why? Number one, Jibiori, if it is not a business, how manage, as Mr. Joshua Radley said earlier, that a lot of those guys taken away. Then every time the government will come out and telling us that they are on top of the situation. So if you want to know it's a real business, let me give you a typical example here. One of the religious leaders, one day, we all watch it on television, and then he takes picture with these so-called bandits. Meanwhile, they are terrorists. And then he takes picture with them. And then when when the press asked him some questions, the man was not trying to compare this insurgency people with a Niger Delta issue. How is it just suppose that? How could you compare people that carry gun and take school children away with a Niger Delta struggle, which is not supposed to be? And then once again, we call our governor a security of the state. I so disagree with anybody say that the governor of every state is a chief security of that state. No. These people collected security force money, and then they cannot be able to control the CP of that state, commissioner of police. If they even tell the commissioner of police anything, the commissioner of police will get direct from the IG before he can act on it. So what are they afraid of? They are afraid that the governor of the federal state, they will use the police against their opponent. Okay, now, what is going to happen now? Instead of them using it against their opponent, and then the opponent is supposed to go to court, and then we leave our society to these people and then terrorizing us. So the solution is this. We should be able to amend our constitution. If the government take a security force as a money, it should be able to tell Nigerian citizens and the state of that place, the cities of that particular state, what is he using that money for?
Okay, Mr. Yakub, thank you very much for calling in, and thank you very much, and also for contributing that point, because I think it is speaking to Mr. Makri's point that what exactly are the local authorities doing, the local government, the state governments. Everybody keeps on talking about the presidency and what they are doing, and I suppose it's part of the answer is conceivably in there, in the sense that the scale of operations would overrun. Here we're talking about overrunning the police, would overrun perhaps any systems that a local council would have in place, because this is unprecedented. This is very, very coordinated. as most people would seem to agree. And very worrying to me is also the idea that Mr. George contributed earlier that this Boko Haram, does anybody really know how far afield they have gone? So we're talking right now about Niger State, and it could seem far, but I don't know that people are seeing steps that would indicate that it is being contained as best as possible, in the circumstances. Would you still insist that, nevertheless, Dennis, would you insist that the local people, that is the governors, the councils, still have a part to play in this? Because it's like their section of a global, violent spree.
Said what is their role in answering in meeting the solution
what can they do?
This?
Yes.
Yeah, of course, there's a lot they can do, a lot, and they don't need arms to do that. Information, I think that's where we are. This information age, you see them, you say something.
Okay.
They just don't appear from the sky. So when they see them, the local people, all these village heads, emirs, chiefs, even religious leaders.
Okay, I get what you mean. That can be very, very helpful, is what you are saying. Information is intelligence. That could actually break this particular debacle. But thank you for calling in, Tony in Abuja. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, well, I just want to, I have heard a lot of stories about governors being head of securities in their various states. And the truth is, there's a serious breach of peace that is about emanating in Gombe State. Some few weeks back, they lost one of their paramount rulers of Biliri. And then there was this voting, how they nominate one. They voted for one. The first one got 5 votes. The second and third got 2 votes respectively. And then all of a sudden, the man that is to be called, the one that won with 5 votes, was not mentioned. And then there's a breach of the peace that is happening. No road. You can't pass to Adamawa now from Gombe, and you cannot pass from Adamawa down to Gombe side because the people are agitated. Look at it. If there was an election and somebody won, give him. I mean, the gap was so much.
Okay.
Please,
but Tony
should stop causing this breach of the peace. It is not good.
Okay, Tony, thank you very much for calling in. We're talking about, upheavals generally, and so maybe that's why you contributed that, and especially as it relates to the situation you've just described to us in Gombe. But really front and center for us this morning, not as if that, peace isn't important as well, also in Gombe, but front and center is the almost helpless situation we find ourselves in. Yes, we've got some encouragement from the governor and the president, who reportedly has also charged the governor, who already charged himself, that all of those kids we're going to get them back. Well, we hope so. We hope it's not just encouraging words. Not all of our Boko Haram girls are back, and the point has been made, the link has been made between what happened and that group called Boko Haram. I don't know if anybody has actually claimed responsibility for it yet, but people think it bears all the hallmarks of Boko Haram for now. But the nation just seems almost to be like in a state of siege, where these people, the bandits, as we're referring to them, some are saying bandits so-called, they might actually be officers of these insurgents. Ilyasu in Kaduna, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Chief Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Thank you for bringing this issue up, and thank you for doing a wonderful job.
Thank you, sir.
Please, there is a lot what people do not understand about how these bandits operate. I hear your guests saying the governors, what can they do? What can they actually do in the real sense? This is the governors and the local government does not have assault rifles. For example, in Kaduna State, everywhere have been recruiting vigilance service for a very long time now, for almost 2 to 3 years. They even have a commission. But they can't fight these bandits because these bandits are using assault rifles.
Yes.
They have
Governor El Rufai even tried to pay them off. Remember?
I understand. That was. I remember during the Southern Kaduna issue where it was at its epic.
Yes.
But the truth is, these people. Yes. Hello.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So these people, the way they operate very stock routes. You can't track them, and sometimes even when you have the intelligence, there is no action taken. That's the honest truth. What I was hearing right now is those kidnapped people along the Akila to Kagara have been moved from Niger State to Zamfara already by yesterday morning, crossing via a stock route in Binawari. They've passed through. They are now in somewhere around Zamfara and Kaduna State borders. So, and these people moving bike. You can imagine a bike traveling on the stock route for 2 or 3 hours. They will have been long gone.
Yeah.
So the way people look at it from the southern part perspective is different. This very town have been raided 3 times within the last 5 months. This very Kagara we are speaking of. They've attacked the bank, they've attacked the town, kidnapped some people, and now they came back to attack the school. Just some few days ago, last week Saturday, the men of 271 Air Force Detachment at Binawari were ambushed and were killed. These are trained soldiers with heavy weapons too. They were killed. The Air Force said it. Several of their men were killed. So how do you expect a local government chairman or a state governor that has no control over a single soldier or a police to be able to face up this issue? Let's say it the way these things are.
Yeah.
Probably our security analysts need to come and study the way these bandits operate, not the way they are doing it from.
Okay, you know, Ilyasu, thank you very much for the contributions that you are making, but you're sounding so informed about this. You're actually able to, tell us, the proper names of some formations, some military formations that were attacked. Are you, part of the security force? Hello, Ilyasu. Ilyasu, how are you?
Living in the frontline community. I live in Binawari as I speak to you. So in the last 6-7 years, we've witnessed this event and the way it transforms.
Okay.
The way they've got more violent, the way these people have been able to acquire more arms than the way they used to be. Look, the truth is, these people need to be studied more.
Okay.
And government should stop downplaying the way these things are. These things are very grave. They are dangerous. Those that are saying they should give them amnesty, which group are you offering the amnesty? Which of the groups? They are all over the country.
Yeah.
And even let me use this medium to alert the leaders in the Southwest. These guys are already in the Southwest. They are not just operating the way they are operating in the North. Go from Obadiano to Kaba Axis down to Ikiti. They are there. Their families are there. Mostly those that are not fully in the cattle and banditry issue are settled within those areas.
Yeah.
So, and lots of them are somewhere around Oyo State, bordering Benin Republic, from the other edge of the border. So these people are already everywhere in this country. It's just that the most unfortunate aspect of this thing is the government are downplaying the whole issue. But
right.
It's explosive than more than anybody can think. And the honest truth is, we are not capable right now as we speak. We don't have the numbers to flush out these people. You could imagine in Binawari local government as we speak, Kamuku National Park alone covers more than 1,200 and something kilometers. How many boots do we have on ground to cover such a large area? Binawari local government is more than 6,200 and something square kilometers. And about 45% of this local government has a reserve forest almost all over the place. you have grazing reserves, you have protected forests. How do you expect the security operatives to operate in these areas? And how many numbers of boots from the police, the Air Force, and the Land Army, how many do we have in Guinea as we speak? So,
but we can't just fold our arms. Ilyasu, did you have any idea on how then to take a stab at the problem? Because we can't just fold our arms, because everything that you're saying, and you're sounding so informed, but I think you said you were part of the frontline sort of a community. So the question is, do you have any ideas on indeed what we might do, since these people, with the concept of them winning is inconceivable, so they're not going to win?
This war has to be taken from two angles. One, we have to use more of technology. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
We have to use more of technology. And the truth is, we have to decentralize our security system.
Okay.
We have to decentralize it. This situation requires an emergency intervention of decentralizing our security system. Right. If somebody will come from Anambra to Bilingwari that he did not understand the terrain, how do you expect him to operate? The local vigilante that knows the route does not have an assault rifle. He can't operate. You can't go and be telling me you are setting an ambush for somebody that's using a general purpose machine gun while you are carrying a den gun.
Yeah.
How can you ambush such a person?
You know, thank you very much, Ilyasu. I really appreciate you, but I've got to interrupt now. But thank you very much for calling in, and it seemed to me that with your very informed sort of contribution, Dennis,
yes.
you heard Ilyasu calling in there, and I got the impression that the guy is not an ordinary civilian.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't hear much of what he's saying.
Oh,
but I know
okay.
He must have a lot of information.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, you didn't hear most of what he was saying. Yeah. Well, he was saying that our strategy, our approach to this war is all wrong. And as I said, he was speaking as an informed person. He said it's all wrong. And first of all, he suggested that we have to decentralize our whole security affair. You know, if that is not done, you know, he just thinks we're bringing the wrong methods to the task at hand. And he also has his palms upwards in terms of what do you expect and this is it goes to the point that you made. What do you expect the local councils and the governors and those kind of quarters? What do you expect them to do? That we don't know the seriousness, so says Ilyasu, of the problem we have on our hands. He even said Boko Haram has gone much farther afield than we are suggesting. And then the clangor is that government should stop de-emphasizing the situation as if it is not as serious as it is.
Yes, it is very, very serious indeed.
Do you get the idea? Could you understand him when he said that the situation is being downplayed, perhaps so as not to cause panic, and that we need to stop this and speak some truths to ourselves, whatever that means, and that's always a boogie when it comes to politicians, speaking the truth to ourselves.
Of course, I agree. I agree fully with him, because this thing that has lasted for 10 years, you know, you would simply read it that, you know, we are not serious about it. In fact, in foreign countries, they've started laughing at us because, oh, Nigeria is a place where they abduct school children and then maybe we pay ransom and they release them and then they go to the next school and then adopt them again. So we are not serious about fighting this. If we are serious about fighting this, we'll put everything we have into it and then cut it off once and for all. Because what he's saying is that, you know, we are downplaying it. We can't downplay it. They kidnap 100 kids and then some spokesman from somewhere will come out and say that it's only 10. You know, that is not how to deal with this.
And that we will get all of them back.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Dennis. And also thank you very much to you, our viewers as well, that we can depend on. You always will call in, unless someone has physically taken your phone away, talking about Maazio Kora for Mr. George, Mr. Yakub, and Mr. Joshua. You know, that's almost like our set team. Thank you very much for calling in. But it's not really a situation that we can chuckle with. It's a very worrying situation. And also thanks to Ilyasu, indeed, you know, as to other callers, Ilyasu, you know, called in and gave us some real food for thought. And I said, as I said at the time, I thought it was a very informed kind of position as to maybe someone who actually knows a thing or two more beyond just the armchair commentators and critics. Thank you very much, Ilyasu, for calling in and shedding light on the situation. We're going to have to leave it here for now. What we have, the only thing we have at the moment really regarding to this situation is the president's assurance and the governor's assurance, Governor Abubakar Sunday Bello, saying that we will get all of those kids back safe and sound. Okay, so observe the COVID-19, anti-COVID-19 protocols, proper distancing, minimum of 6 feet. Use your mask. I understand it's even an offense now if you don't wear a mask in where you should be wearing it. And wash your hands frequently. I'll see you tomorrow, God willing. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.